Hello, guys, and welcome to Matt Stories. Our first story of the day is I lied to my pick me friend and she got a tattoo based off of it. It's been about 2 years since this happened, but I just got confirmation from a friend who attended her tattoo appointment that it was because of what I said. The backstory: I, 25 female, was introduced to Peg, fake name, also 25 female, through a mutual friend. She had recently moved in to our friend's neighboring apartment unit and was quickly introduced to our friend group. Almost immediately, I could tell we weren't going to get along based off of some backhanded compliments that were given. But I decided that it was too quick to judge her fairly and invited her to a game night that a friend and I were hosting. Huge mistake. Game 1: Sardines. During a drunken game of sardines in the dark, Peggy faked a fall and pushed my head into the shelf. How do I know she faked it? Because she literally told me in front of everyone and laughed about it, saying, "I found him first. That's why I pushed you." Game 2: King's Cup. Peggy called me out during the Never Have I Ever portion for having gone through a divorce. Talking about it normally wouldn't have bothered me since everyone who was there already knew about it and were really supportive during that time. But it was the fact that she was trying to single me out and shame me for it. Throughout the rest of the night, this kind of behavior continued, and by the end, I was thoroughly convinced she had some sort of vendetta against me. Finding out what, or in my case who, it was took almost no time at all. One of our friends, who we'll call Mark, was in attendance that first night. Mark, 28 years old male, is a tall, kind, funny, and generally attractive guy. Essentially, he's catnip for her type. At this time, we were pretty close friends, and Peggy did not like that. For the next 6 months, anytime he was around, I had to deal with the most ridiculous, awkward, and petty attempts of her trying to single me out or embarrass me. Now, here's where the tattoo comes into play. I had been planning on getting a dragon tattoo for over a year. I am fully aware that dragons are a common and trending tattoo, but I wanted it anyways because it was special to me and my mom. I had even worked out with my tattoo artist on incorporating her favorite flowers into the piece and figuring out what kind of style, other details I wanted. About a month before my appointment, Peggy heard a friend and I talking about the tattoo and started asking questions. I swear I could see the moment the light bulb went off in her head because she grew the biggest shit-eating grin I have ever seen. My light bulb moment happened shortly after. When she asked where and what kind of dragon tattoo I wanted to get, I lied. I told her about how much I loved the movie Spirited Away, because I do, it's a banger. And I went on a tangent about how I grew up on that movie, how my dad showed it to me, and that it'd be cool if he, Haku, was wrapping around my arm or something. If you haven't seen the movie, one of the main characters is a boy named Haku who turns into a dragon. Peggy had never seen this movie before, so I encouraged her to check it out and ended the conversation there. Now, considering she had never seen it before, I didn't think she'd actually do it, but read it, she did it. It wasn't just a tiny cutesy little thing either. She committed to my exact description. The thing is freaking huge. When she showed it to me 2 weeks later, I was in shock, and she probably thought I was upset for taking something from me. But I went home that night and switched between feeling awful for lying to her and laughing for how utterly unbelievable she was for doing it. 2 years later, and I'm still doing that. I had confessed to a friend recently about my lie, and that's when she told me. She went to the tattoo appointment with Peggy that day, and word for word, Peggy had said, "She's going to be so upset. This is like the exact tattoo she wanted." Now, for our second story. Happiness is the best revenge. I was working at a job where I had two co-workers assistants. Their job position was intended to partially support mine, and partially they worked independently as well. Their job position was intended to partially support mine, and partially they worked independently as well. I reported directly to the manager. These two gals were nasty and decided to try to get me fired because one of them wanted my position. They kept running to the manager with frivolous complaints about me and constantly undermined my work by not doing the support work. In addition, two other people left at the same time, so pretty soon I was overwhelmed, overworked, and miserable, working what felt like 3 jobs instead of one. The more miserable I got, the more visibly happy they were, and I would get even more sad because I once thought of these gals as friends. I felt like I was carrying so much weight on my shoulders, feeling unsupported by my manager, being attacked by these women who were once my friends, and just physically and emotionally overwhelmed with so much work. I was running myself ragged and really letting go of my appearance and just looked so bedraggled. One day I was sitting in my apartment crying, thinking about the smirks on their faces when I left that day. And then I thought to myself, wait a minute, if they are so happy seeing me miserable, then the opposite must be true. What if they saw me happy? The next day I woke up, combed my hair, wore makeup, put on the nicest clean clothes I had. Then I went home to my job and pressed in with a huge smile on my face like I was on cloud nine. I chatted happily with my favorite coworker loudly, who sat next to the other two women. I watched those two gals out of the corner of my eye, and they exchanged a wide-eyed look that said, "We're doomed." The next week they tried their best to annoy me. One of them kept interrupting me constantly, unnecessarily, and every time they gushed with smiles and gratitude. The disappointment on her face was downright hilarious. I enjoyed smiling at them every time I passed by, saying over the top, sweetly please and thank you, and acting so incredibly considerate towards them every chance I got. It drove them insane. Pretty soon they were looking terrified and miserable. It became fairly apparent that they thought I had some secret discussion with the manager. At one point, one of the gals had an outburst and went and yelled at the manager saying, "You're going to fire me anyway." So she did get fired, but it was not because I said anything to the manager. It was only because she couldn't handle me being happy. The other one was scared into silence after that. I eventually left the job because the management sucked. I still am in awe at how just appearing happy and being super nice affected them so much. I got to make them as miserable as they made me without having to actually be unkind to them like they were to me. On we go to our third story. Neighbor kept treating my driveway like free parking, so I taught him a $300 lesson. Okay, so this is a bit long, but I need to get it off my chest. I live in a small cul-de-sac, nothing fancy, just your average neighborhood. My driveway fits 2 cars, mine plus my husband's. Perfectly fine. For the most part, everyone here minds their own business. Except my neighbor. Let's just call him Jack. For whatever reason, he thinks my driveway is like extra parking for his family or friends. First time it happened, I thought it was a mistake. His brother's car wasn't there. He said it just to be upset. A week later, it was some friend of his dropping something off. I didn't love it, but I figured whatever, not worth making it awkward. But it kept happening. I'd come home from work. I'm a nurse, so some days I'm wiped out, and there's a random car blocking me. One night, I literally had to park halfway down the street and carry 5 bags of grocery because his buddy's truck was in my spot. Every time I said something, he'd do that half smile and go, "Oh yeah, sorry, they'll be gone soon." Like I'm the one being difficult. The final straw. I get home late Friday night after a 12-hour shift, still in scrubs, starving, with takeout that's already getting cold in the passenger seat. And boom, giant white SUV just parked dead center in my driveway. Not even off to the side. Like full on blocking me from even pulling in. I knock, no answer. I call Jack, he finally picks up, and super casual goes, "Oh yeah, that's my in-laws. They'll only be there a couple hours. Just park on the street, it's no big deal." That was it for me. I called the tow truck, and yes, I checked before. Where I live, if someone blocks your private driveway, you're allowed to tow immediately. Tow guy showed up in 20 minutes, SUV was gone before I even finished half my fries. About an hour later, furious pounding on my door. Jack's beet red, his in-laws are yelling in the background, and he's going off about how I didn't have to take it that far. I just said, "You told me it wasn't a big deal, so I treated it like it wasn't a big deal." Then I closed the door. They had to pay almost $300 to get their car back. And funny enough, ever since then, my driveway has stayed crystal clear, not even for just a sec. And now for our last story of the day, the pettiest of petty, but dang it made me laugh, and still does. I've enjoyed lurking here and hope you will enjoy this fond memory as much as I enjoy remembering it. It was many years ago, but I still laugh when I recall that day. I was on a highway traveling northbound. The route is divided, 2 lanes either direction. I eventually needed to exit right to get eastbound onto the interstate. A couple or 3 miles before my exit, I find myself behind a Rio Dominguero. This guy was going about 10 under the speed limit. The typical flow of traffic in this area is 5 to 10 over, so I thought I'd get over into the passing lane and get around him quick before I had to exit. I get in the left lane and he speeds up, so I speed up a little more, and he guns it, or so I thought. Hey, he realized he's going too slow. I'm not trying to get a speeding ticket out here. So I got back in the right lane and dropped in behind him, now going about 5 over with several car lengths between us. But as soon as I got settled behind in that lane, he starts slowing down again, and now we're going even slower, like 11 or 12 under. So I ease back into the left lane, and the SOB guns it again, now doing at least 15 over, and I can't pass without a criminal level of speeding. So I let off the gas and let him get ahead. And that's when I noticed this jackass has his driver's window all the way down, and I knew right then what I was going to do. I eased back in behind him. Predictably, he goes back to turtle speed. Third time, I get into the left lane and start to pass. He speeds up, and when he lines up so that I'm right up next to him, I veer to my right, hugging the striped line as close to him as I can legally be, and I pulled the lever to activate my windshield washer. I held it with mischievous joy, spraying and spraying and spraying. Just as I hoped, it went straight into his open window and soaked him. I got him good. Not just the arm he had propped up on the door. I got him all over the side of his stupid face. He let off the gas, shook his head like a wet dog. Pretty sure I got it in his ear, and wiped his face with his hand. Laughing maniacally, I gunned it, got in front of him, and exited onto the interstate about a quarter-mile later. I laughed and laughed for miles. I laughed until I cried and my cheeks and ribs hurt. I still laugh about it. Hopefully, you will too. Well guys, that's it for today. Hope you liked the stories. Leave a comment, like, and please subscribe. And see you on the next video.